All right, all right, all right. I think we're live. I'm just going to do a quick sound check. Talking journaling today. Portable mic. Um, just quickly sound check it. I think it's good. Normally, always is, but it's nice to be confirmed, so that when I get into it, it's all good. We're talking about the benefits of journaling today. We're all good. I hope you're having a fantastic week. Today, journaling, I want to talk about the benefits, why you should do it, irregardless of whether you're trying to lose weight or not, right? Because basically, from 1986, we've all heard of Oprah Winfrey, right? From 86 to 2011, I think she hosted that show, the Oprah Winfrey Show. And it was the highest rated talk show of all time. And it was, it's familiar for most people, even people in the UK and Australia, that it's not really a regular time slot, right? Anyone who owned a television set, especially in North America, knew who that was. And kind of throughout the 80s, all I remember from that show is like, everybody, you get a car, you get a car. Everybody, like everybody's just winning. But throughout the sort of 80s and 90s, she, the queen of all media at the time, had kind of built a brand that stretched far beyond just that show, right? She obviously went on to become millionaire, billionaire, and a philanthropist and stuff like that. And it was working. She was busy working toward all these fantastic accomplishments. She actually relied on a simple habit that was journaling. So journaling simply is the fact. It is simply is the act of thinking about your life and writing it down. Right? It's it. Nothing. Don't need to complicate anything more than that. It's so simple that people don't think it's just there's no point. Well, if I'm just going to write down my thoughts or write down what happened, then I'm not going to gain any insight. It's just a waste. It's too simple, and people overlook the simple stuff. All right, journaling's played a key role in so many people's careers and people's growth. So I think, as you might expect, like it's a favorite habit of a lot of writers. Mark Twain is pretty, Virginia Woolf as well, and these are generally not really too far from a writer's desk. They're not really too far away from their person. And there was a lady named Susan Sontag that once claimed that her journal was where she created herself. Because you're able to just get your thoughts out of your noggin onto paper and sometimes comprehend them better. So it's brought around by a lot of fantastic thinkers, Darwin, Da Vinci, and stuff like that. People used to some degree this sort of premise of journaling. And in the sporting world, you've got people, winners of gold medals, that are doing it. You've got Kipchoge, the world record holder in the marathon, doing it. And they're relying on journals to reflect on their, daily workouts, improve their training. So why have so many people that have been successful in life, in whatever aspect they deem themselves to be in, athletics, academia, why are they doing this? Why are they spending time journaling? What are the benefits? Well, what journaling can do for you is that I think everyone can benefit from getting your thoughts out of your head and onto paper. There's a lot more benefits to journaling than I've got time to cover in this video, but I want to point you to a few of my favorites, because I think that the biggest thing about journaling, it provides the opportunity to learn lessons from your old experiences. So when you look back at previous journal entries, for example, Virginia Woolf, she actually remarked that she often found the significance to lie where I never saw it at the time, was her quote. I found the significance to lie, she said. I found the significance to lie where I never saw it at the time. So when you read your old journal entries, it's a bit like reading a fantastic book, for a second time. You pick up on the new sentences, or you see the past in a different way. But this time, you're rereading the story of your life, the most important person in your world. It should be you anyway. And obviously, when you're going through, if you're watching this, hopefully most of you are menopausal. But if you're watching this and you're in perimenopause, you might be experiencing brain fog, even postmenopause. Journaling can sharpen your memory. There is countless times when I've seen people say, yeah, just journal, provided that that who, what, when, why, and the specificity to the specific memory that I wrote down that might have kind of been blurred over time, because obviously we don't have a proper clarity on all of our memories, you know. But it offers something more than that. I think it offers a frank and unvarnished portrait of yourself, because in theory you're thinking no one's going to read this, you know. If you were to read about what 20-year-old you was doing, you wouldn't have found that version of you, would how different that is 2-3 decades on. You're not going to find that anywhere. You'd have people say, yeah, in your 20s you're a bit crazy or something like that, but you have your thoughts on paper from that time, and you want to be able to do that 10 years on, right? So time is going to change, your well, time changes our face without us noticing but it's also going to change your thoughts without you realizing it. And this is really nice as a reminder to how you used to think, what things were like. Like we inside the MYM club, we get our ladies to do a future dear future me. So they write an email to themselves, and then they read it. It gets sent back to them in 6 months' time. It's just amazing. Effectively similar sort of thing, like whether it's seeing an old picture of yourself, whether it's that reading that old journal entry, it's going to be so surprising to you, because it reminds you of how you thought, and that would be drastic compared to a few weeks ago, if you're on a weight transformation program, compared to a few years ago, decades ago. Because our beliefs shift slowly as we gain experience into all of these different things. And the journal entries are basically freezing your thoughts of what you thought at that time in a little time capsule. So it's amazing. One of the other benefits of journaling that I find is it motivates me to make the most out of my day every single day. There's something about knowing that my day is going to be written down and recorded that makes me want to do at least one good choice, at least one good thing for somebody before the sun sets, and I'm able to have time to myself, right? Because I find myself sometimes thinking, yeah, I want to have something good to write down tonight. If people are going to read this in 10, 20 years, I want something good to be written down. But it's just that's a personal thing, but I think that you might get the same sort of benefit. One of the things that I recommend for everybody in terms of if they're going for a weight loss journey, it provides proof of your progress. If you write down one sentence about what went well today, it gives you something powerful to look back at when you're struggling, when you're feeling down. If you've had a shit day, it's going to be easy to forget how much progress you've made. Imagine you're trying to lose 20 kilos, right? And you've lost 10, and you've hit a plateau, you've had a couple of bad days, a bit emotional. You're like, oh, just not working, it's just not working. You forget about that 10 kilos that you've lost, which is a big deal. But with the journal, it's you keep that sense of perspective. You flick back through the pages and go, fantastic day, feeling on top of the world. Nothing's going to stop me now, So that one glance at all those previous entries, you've got proof of how much you've grown over the day, over the week, over the months, over the years, depending on how long you've been doing it for. Of course, there's numerous benefits to journaling, but there is a problem. There is one problem, and people love the idea of it, but just people don't do the act of doing it. It's fantastic in theory. It is fantastic, but trying to cultivate the habit is another matter. And that's kind of why I mentioned Oprah. Like in 2012, she was talking about, wrapping up their television careers, 25 years, right? And she said, like, coffee break. She said, for years I've been advocating the power and, of being grateful and writing down my thoughts. I kept a gratitude journal for, nearly, I think she said a decade at the time, without fail. And then she said, then my life got busy. My schedule overwhelmed me. I still open my journal some nights, but it was inconsistent. But my ritual of writing down the few things that she was grateful for every day started to slip away. And this is where she said, I noticed a change. I didn't understand why I no longer felt the joy in the simple moments, because obviously she'd accumulated all this wealth, she'd accumulated more responsibility, more possessions, everything. Generally, she seemed, had grown kind of exponentially. She was super successful, except her happiness. And she said that, like, although like she had pretty much everything at her disposal, it was like the opportunities that came and stuff like that. She didn't have much delight, because she was pulled in so many different directions. She didn't feel like too much doing anything, and she was just too busy doing and not enough thinking about those thoughts. And the truth is, like, you just have to make this a daily priority. And she did that. She did that, I think, in the 90s. I think it's 11 years into her career or something like that. After that decade had kind of passed, and I think that you've got to look for things to be grateful for, because I think that most people know that journaling is helpful, but they don't get around to making it a priority. And so what we do is, people say, "Oh yeah, but like it's just too difficult." Well, how can we make journaling frictionless? What is the simplest way that to get the benefits without it feeling like another obligation? Oh, I need to prepare my food. Oh, I need to go for a walk. And just responsibility, obligation after responsibility after, like. So here's to make it. Here's how you make journaling easy, right? I spent a fair bit of time thinking about this, talking about it with V as well. How how to best put this forward, right? Um, I use, V uses a pen and paper one, a rubber one. I use an electronic version. Um, Before I start, I let me get something straight, right? There's no one way to journal. You can do it wherever you want, whenever you want. All you need is a kind of piece of paper or a blank document on your computer, on your phone, in your note section. There is no right way to journal, but I feel like there is an easy way to journal, and I think it's just you start to write one sentence a day. Now, the primary advantage of journaling one sentence a day is that it makes, well, journaling fun. It's easy to do. It's easy to feel successful. And if you feel good every single time you finish journaling, then it's going to create a cycle, or it's a positive reinforcement cycle. You're going to come back to doing it again. Cool. I enjoyed that. Because a habit does not have to be impressive for it to be useful. So I like to say that by saying that do one sentence a day, we've removed that barrier for entry. It's too it's too difficult for you to come back at me and say that's too hard. I don't have time for that. You have time to write one sentence a day. You do, and if you don't, stop watching Netflix. I'll give you a little template here, because every habit journal is it's the best way that you want to do it is going to be the easiest way for you, right? I would say I took this from our book from a book that we have called One Line a Day, and it's basically it's a journaling prompt. So, like, a few examples of these journaling prompts is, if it's a daily journal, what happened today? If it's gratitude journal, what am I grateful for today? If it's a productivity journal, what is the most important task today? If it's a sleep journal, how did I sleep last night? What time did I get to bed? What time did I wake up? Things like that, questions you ask yourself. If it's a mood journal, how do I feel today? Underneath the prompt, obviously, there's the lines in this book, there's the lines for each month, lines of the day for each month. So 31, 28, whichever month it is. That's where you write your one sentence a day. So to start your journaling habit, all you need to do is write one prompt. For that, jot it down, a few words each day. Once a month is complete, you look back on the whole 31 days of those beautiful journal entries, and the entire experience is effectively designed to make journaling so easy to do that you can't help but do it each day. So I think that's massive. Happy to answer any questions, should there be any, on journaling, because I think it's a massive part of our program. Journaling is so important. This is a good one, I said. Good morning, Sarah. Journaling is so important. You don't even have to write the sentences when you're tired at the end of the long day, but just brainstorm your feelings, frustration, goals, etc. It's so helpful. Allied health professionals learn to do it at university as an effective, let me read the rest, as an effective learning tool. Completely right. Good evening from Australia. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello, Debbie. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Nicole. Hey, morning user. Don't know who that is. Awesome. If there's no questions, I won't keep you any longer. I have a fantastic day. Yeah, I do. You mentioned me, apparently. I did mention you. Cool. If there's any questions and I don't get to it round to it on the live, I won't keep you any longer. You're all busy. You've got stuff to do. Love you and leave you. Have a fantastic week. I will speak to you soon. You're welcome, Kerry. You're welcome, Ruth. You legends. All right. I'll speak to you soon. All right. Bye.